Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Welcome into 1017 FM and 710 KEEL. Welcome into this edition of Strategies for Living. I'm marriage and family therapist David McMillan. All the way down yonder at the end of the broadcast table is the smiling girl herself, Carla McCormick, PLPC.
Hey, Dave.
How you doing, Carla?
I am pretty okay for, what is it, Tuesday?
It is Tuesday. It's hard to keep, but who's counting, right?
Right.
And flying this baby high, low, and in between is our ace producer. He is the ace of the airways. He's Rapid Ruben Wright.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening.
I want to ask both of you something. If I ask you this evening to buy a brick from me, would you do that?
Well, I guess.
Well, actually, it's not. See, I'm already lying. It's actually not going to be buying a brick from me. It's going to be buying a brick from our life strategist. Would you do that?
Sure.
Okay. Well, there you go.
I'll do anything for you, Dave. At least once.
Well, you may be asking, well, why am I selling bricks? Well, it's part of what we're talking about this evening because we've got Bill Rose, who is the executive director of KEEL. And, of course, you know from listening to this program more than once that one of our sponsors is KEEL, the Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse of Northwest Louisiana. And we're privileged to have Bill with us this evening as our life strategist. And so you've got to buy a brick. And, Ruben, you've got to buy one, too.
10-4.
Okay. All right.
Sure.
We'll come back and we'll talk more about that and clear all of this up and meet Mr. Bill Rose. Folks, thank you for tuning in to Strategies for Living this evening. We are brought to you by KEEL, the Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse of Northwest Louisiana. We're brought to you by Milestones Counseling Center, by Jerry Anderson, State Farm Insurance, by Learning RX, by Highland Place Rehab and Nursing Center, by Jacob's Well Inspirational Books and Gifts, and by Resilient House. We will be back to meet Executive Director of KEEL, Mr. Bill Rose. Stay with us. A lot to learn this evening. If we're talking addiction prevention, education, and treatment in Shreveport-Bossier for 60 years, we're talking about KEEL. Let's talk about addiction. Let's talk about treatment. Let's talk about getting your life back. The Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse, KEEL, has been helping individuals and families in Shreveport and Bossier City for 60 years now. KEEL provides intensive residential treatment as well as outpatient services too. KEEL treats women with children, pregnant women, adolescents, veterans. KEEL has helped thousands and thousands of people in North Louisiana from just about every race and ethnic background, every socioeconomic level, across every class line. KEEL has helped single mothers, attorneys, teachers, nurses, doctors, construction workers, musicians, you name it. Life is better on the other side of recovery. Call 222-8511 or www.keelanwla.org.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I shopped the many highly rated term life insurance companies we represent, like Prudential and Mutual of Omaha, and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $27 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 800-589-5599. That's 800-589-5599. 800-589-5599. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1958, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at selectquote.com/commercials. Or price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living, 1017 FM and 710 KEEL. Marriage and family therapist David McMillan, PLPC, Carla McCormick. Please welcome to the program now the executive director of the Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse of Northwest Louisiana, Mr. Bill Rose. He has been with CADA for 21 years now. He's a licensed addiction counselor, former director of STEPS Recovery, and former director of the Buckhalter Treatment Program. Both of those very innovative treatment programs by CADA. Actually also managed the adult and juvenile drug court programs here in Caddo Parish through the council. And it is a pleasure to welcome the executive director of CADA, Mr. Bill Rose. Mr. Rose, welcome to Strategies.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sponsoring us.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Now, I tell you, Bill, you and I go back years ourselves, but here on Strategies, we're 25 years old, and I know a dear friend of yours, a mentor of yours, someone that you admired and that I admired, Mr. Dan Talley.
Dan Talley, yes.
Spent more than just a little time in that chair.
He did. In fact, I remember as a young therapist in town, didn't really know what I wanted to do with myself other than group therapy, and Dan taught me a lot about managing programs.
Yes.
And I didn't know, if I would have known 20 years ago, I'd actually be sitting in his, literally sitting in his chair.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, and I hope I don't embarrass you. But with you as executive director of CADA, I feel Dan Talley's presence.
Well, thank you.
I really do. You embody all of what Dan stood for as a person. He was quite a guy. He
well, that's
really
an
was
honor.
quite a guy.
It's an honor for me to hear that from you.
So, and that goes right into, I was teasing with Carla and Ruben. I hope you got some bricks in the car, because we're going to sell them. We sold them both a brick, and now he's probably going to make me buy one too.
Well, actually, I brought some with me.
So there you go.
So we're selling bricks.
We're selling bricks.
What are we going to do with these bricks?
What are we doing?
Well, the bricks are, a lot of times that we, CADA's history was to provide, we originally started as a information and referral center.
Right.
We were started by a lady named Marty Mann. Marty was one of the first original women that got sober through Alcoholics Anonymous.
Wow.
And as a result of getting sober, she started an organization what ultimately became the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence. And we are an affiliate of the National Council and have been for the past 60 years.
Right.
So, the whole idea was to provide services for those that didn't have resources.
Right.
So we still fundraise a lot of ways to help those that don't have the resources to pay for care.
Because nobody's turned away.
Nobody's turned away. So for those, we sell bricks and do other fundraising activities.
Now, CADA provides treatment for adults, for teens, for families, for veterans.
Right. And we do that through 4 facilities. We have an adult residential program, 71-bed program, where we do detox, high-intensity residential treatment, low-intensity residential treatment, and also a family program for women with dependent children.
Mm-hmm.
We have an adolescent residential program for kids between the ages of 12 and 17, and it's basically a 30-day program for adolescents that have substance use issues.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Veterans Recovery Center for vets that are being treated on an outpatient basis at the VA. We provide housing, transportation, and case management. And, of course, we have an outpatient clinic where we do anything from drug screens to early intervention programs, DWI education, all the way up to intensive outpatient therapy.
So, CADA's motto is we're here to help you get your life back.
Right.
We can so easily find ourselves, today especially. And I guess I should start by asking you, how big is the problem in our community? How big of a problem that we have? Because 14 different treatment programs offered by CADA would tell me we've got a significant amount of issues to address.
We do. The individuals that are treated through CADA programs are not exclusive to the Shreveport-Bossier area.
Right.
If you look at any of our programs, specifically the residential services, which is the largest part of what we do, more than half of those that are admitted in those programs come from other parts of the state. So we have a number of people, it's a big issue in the Shreveport-Bossier area.
Right.
And since budget cuts at the state level, there are not resources in the rural areas. So we pick up rural areas, those that are within the city. And for those that don't have access to treatment in other parts of the state, we provide treatment for those guys.
Now, we should tell people whether they want to buy a brick or whether they want to find out about CATA programs and what programs are available specifically for adults, for teens. You mentioned family program, the veterans program, plus an alumni, people who have completed treatment online, CADANWLA.org.
Right. Our website is CADANWLA.org.
Okay, and phone numbers are there. If you both for business hours and after hours.
It is. In fact, through our website's pretty incredible.
Yes,
you
it
can
is.
Access the website for admissions into treatment. You can access our website for information about services that we provide for those that want to make donations. Any individual seeking employment, you can do all of that through our website.
All right.
We also have a Facebook page, so please visit us on Facebook. We do lots of social media activities through Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook.
You're a busy guy.
Oh, very busy, but I have an awesome staff.
Yeah. CATA's a fine organization.
It is.
And I want to talk a little bit this evening, even before we get finished. You and Carla were talking about the school.
Okay.
Before we went on the air, CATA runs for people who want to learn about addiction treatment, maybe for people who already are licensed in mental health or addiction treatment. Continuing education is provided. So lots of stuff.
We do have a lot of stuff going on. So, did you want me to mention something about school now?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, the CATA school is how
it's called the CATA School of Addiction and Behavior Health, and primarily the school is to provide. It does a number of things. One, to provide the initial training. Specifically in addiction for those that are seeking credentials through the state's regulatory board to become a licensed addiction counselor. But we also provide continuing education for those that are already credentialed. So if you're a social worker, LPC, addiction therapist, family therapists, psychologists that need continuing education credits, we can provide those through classroom settings, workshops, and we now offer a number of courses that you can access online.
Thanks to Dr. Kent Dean,
thanks
right?
To Dr. Kent Dean. We have podcasts. So, and you can do all of this through our website.
Make it easy.
It has the schedule. It has the prices. It has the registration forms all online.
People can access, again, the website is just excellent, CADANWLA, CATA, Northwest Louisiana.org. So I won't shout out the prices because you can find them online, but it's there's a lot of value here.
There's a lot of value. It's a lot cheaper than, and I don't knock college courses, but it's a lot cheaper than any of our competitors that do online courses or trying to access classes at a university.
And good faculty.
And they're all approved through the state's regulatory board.
Right, right.
So if there are people out there listening that think that they would like to get into this line of work, that would be a good place to start.
It is. In fact, a lot of the students that are in college, we provide a mechanism for intern programs as well. So if you are a trainee, you think you want to be a counselor, we can provide all of that assistance to the school.
So, Bill, you guys have been around for what, 60 years?
We've been around since 1958, yes. This
How
is our
is
60th year.
CADA different than other treatment centers around town? I mean, is it the foundation? Is it that they're connected with the city or the state? What makes CADA different?
Well, CADA is actually our residential services is, and if my history serves me correctly, we were the first state contracted substance abuse program in Louisiana.
In the whole state?
In the entire state.
Wow.
When they were giving out contract dollars through federal block grant money, we got the first contracts to provide services. And we do anything from prevention activities to educational programming, as well as treatment services on an outpatient basis, as well as residential services.
So a lot of other treatment centers in that time have come and gone.
They have, and we can treat you. We can give you prevention services from having an addiction issue, but we can also provide community, family education, and training for those that are seeking a career path.
Want to come back from this break and talk a little in general about addictions.
Okay.
And how important when it's time, when you know it's time to seek help, how important it is to have that help a website away, a phone call away.
Okay.
Because that's what CADA provides. We'll do that when we come back. Mr. Bill Rose, Executive Director of the Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse of Northwest Louisiana, our life strategist this evening here on Strategies for Living. More to learn, more to come. Stay with us. Welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living here on 1017 FM and 710 KEEL, PLPC. Carla McCormick, marriage and family therapist. David McMillan, our life strategist this evening, the executive director of CADA, the Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse of Northwest Louisiana. He's Mr. Bill Rose. Again, when we, and I'm going back to all of those years ago and all of those hours on the air here with Dan, and we would take phone calls back then.
Right.
And I remember a few times Dan chuckling because we'd get a call, Bill, which I think is still relevant to ask you today.
Okay.
And that is, you know, why are you guys making such a big deal about this addiction thing? Isn't it just a matter of the willpower to stop? You know, why are you guys making such a big deal about this? Now, I think that's a relevant question. I think it's one we would be asked today. Yeah.
Right. In fact, you know, I've been in behavioral health treatment for almost 30 years now.
And by the way, folks, this man just celebrated his 30th anniversary. And in recovery. That's a big deal.
July 18th of 1988. Thank you.
On my birthday.
Yeah.
Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you. And Dan Talley was very instrumental in my personal recovery.
Wow.
As well as my professional development.
Wow.
You know, so as I got my life straight and started actually as a volunteer, and I remember, because I come from a family that there's not, you know, any presence of addictive disorders. So my family didn't really understand this disease and didn't understand it as being a disease. And I remember my grandmother telling me back in the day that you just needed to go back to church
just
and do all
right.
of these things, and life would change.
Right.
And, you know, I think people honestly believe that.
Yeah.
You know, that they don't understand that addiction is a brain disease.
Yeah.
You know, that most rational people don't intentionally self-destruct.
Right. It's progressive.
It's very progressive.
It has definable stages.
It does.
So it fits a medical model because of those two things and those two things alone. But the other thing that we need to understand, and this is the serious part, it is a brain disorder. It's a brain disease. And it does have its progressive nature, its stages, but ultimately it's fatal.
It's fatal. And, you know, a number of, I wouldn't even know where to start on the number of individuals that I personally have known, and those that have run across professionally that have actually died from overdose or things directly or indirectly related to addictive disorders.
You and Carla were talking about something off of the break, so Carla always gets in trouble for asking good questions on the break, so I'll invite her to ask that question again, because it's a good question.
I asked Bill how addiction has changed since our addiction treatment has changed since he started, and his response was,
it was, shared that I really got trained up under a total abstinence model.
Yes.
And we used to measure successful treatment outcomes based upon someone's ability to maintain abstinence from a specific substance.
So that might be alcohol. It might be
cocaine,
pot, yeah.
You name it. However, you know, without any therapeutic interventions or follow-up, you know, a lot of these individuals, and I've known people that have committed suicide after discontinuation of substance use. I've known a lot of people that are reoffended, that were still living in dependent situations, in and out of relationships because they never really had access to care. You know, we've always struggled as a profession to to define outcomes, successful outcomes. We thought it was based upon discontinuation of use. And of course, we work in the field that recidivism is extremely high.
What is it, like 70%?
It is. It's
So
extremely high. So
that means 10 people who go into treatment, 3 will be sober by, what, the end of the year?
it is. In fact, one of the things that Dan used to talk about when people ask him how many people will actually get sober and stay sober, he used to say that about a third of the population that indulges in the use of substances get sober and stay sober. Another third will relapse, but ultimately get back on the path of recovery. And that last third never get it. They either die or
Go to jail.
yeah.
Yeah.
And and a lot of that's still true. So relapse is part of it. Now it's not. We deemed it as a total failure. That if you went back to use, it's almost like telling a diabetic that because you cheated on your diet, you ate some chocolate cake, that you fail as a patient being treated for diabetes. It's almost equivalent to that.
Well, and that's the analogy I use with my clients. We talk about like people who have lost 100 pounds just because they go out and eat ice cream this weekend and maybe, blow their diet doesn't mean that they still haven't lost 100 pounds. So if I have clients who get 90, 120 days and they slip, so to speak, and then they come right back, all their hard work is not for naught, right?
Right. Or that because I'm an alcoholic, that my brain don't remember the pleasure associated with drinking alcohol.
Right.
It's just not realistic. It's been 30 years for me, and I've never forgotten.
Right. And your brain would immediately, again, that's the nature of this disease, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
You can be 30 years in recovery, but you take that first drink, and again, even your cells, you have a cellular memory,
right,
that is going to come back and remember, and that's a problem.
I liken it to being an allergic. So, like, if I was allergic to peanuts and I knew that if I ate peanuts, I would have an asthma attack and die.
Right.
In 18 years, because I've been sober 18 years, I'm not going to become unallergic. I know that's not good grammar, but so if I ate peanuts today, I would still have an asthma attack and die. So
Exactly.
it's not like the allergy goes away.
No, it doesn't go away. It's you just don't get rid of it because you quit using.
Right.
You have to learn to manage. You have to learn to live again. What actually happens in good treatment, Bill? What takes place in treatment?
Well, one of the we have an educational component. A lot of if I looked at my own history prior to treatment, I never knew that. Never had access or to anyone that's ever been in treatment. Never heard of it.
Right.
So I didn't understand this disease concept of addiction.
Right.
So I got a lot of educational information about the disease concept. We talked about triggers. We talked about high-risk situations. We talked about support groups, those sort of things. So you get an educational component. You also have a group process where where your peers talk about the impact that addiction has played on the family,
right,
or how it's affected you,
right,
in your life, and some of the consequences that you've suffered because of that. And I think one of the most important parts of treatment is the family component. Because that support system, whether we're talking about the use of support groups like Alcoholics Anonymous or Celebrate Recovery, that family component.
Right.
And I was just telling some people the other night, celebrating my recovery, is that part of the reason, and I think the biggest reason why I maintain recovery is because I had a successful experience in the family component of treatment.
I think it's so
My
important.
family was there, and
they were supportive.
Family groups, they were supportive in my journey outside of treatment as well.
The other side of that, and I'm going to put my family therapist hat on for just a moment. The other side of that is many times when you have a substance abuse issue within a family system, the entire system can become sick.
Right.
And so, not everybody may be using, not everybody may be drinking alcohol or using drugs. But in fact, and again, there can be some particular dynamics that are different. Let's say if mom and dad are both using, or just one of the parents is using, or teenage son or daughter is using. So the components may be different, but it's going to affect. It's going to ripple throughout the entire family, and many
Right.
times we find things like enmeshment. We find things like I don't know how to keep from enabling.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you have a lot of enabling, a lot of, and another important piece for family is one, learn how to take care of themselves.
yes,
Because you have more family think that I was the cause of this problem.
right.
So we encourage family members to seek their own support group, that they can't cause addiction and they can't stop it. You know,
How important is it for parents to talk to their kids about alcohol and drug use?
it's very important. We found that addiction is significantly reduced if we start having conversations by the time children reach the fourth grade. We
Wow.
significantly reduce their chances of developing substance use disorders. So fourth and fifth grade is a ideal, because by the time they're in high school, it's a little too late. They've been exposed through a lot of peer pressure.
Matter of fact, there was a recent study, I can't cite exactly, but it was fifth and sixth graders. And one in three fifth and sixth graders reported that alcohol was available to them and it was easy for them to get. Now that's staggering. If you
It is
stop
very
thinking about it.
staggering.
So when you said by fourth grade we need to be talking to our kids, that resonates with me, because again, fifth and sixth graders is 33%, 33 and a third percent of fifth and sixth graders. Hey, alcohol is available to me and I can get it pretty easy.
And
Right.
there's a high correlation. I don't know the statistics, but there's a high correlation between the time you took your first drink
Yeah.
and becoming, substance dependent or becoming an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I forgot what that statistic is, but I know that there's a high correlation.
If there is a history in the family, let's say a father, a mother, a grandparent, is that something that I need to be concerned with?
It is, because we do know that addiction has a genetic component, that is hereditary, and we see a number of, just like when you go to your physician for physical and history, they're asking family histories of heart disease and diabetes, because there are genetic component to those. Or addiction's the same way.
Right.
It significantly increases the chance of a child becoming dependent if he has one or two parents that have substance use disorders, and it can jump generations as well.
Yeah. Mr. Bill Rose, the Executive Director of CADA, the Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse of Northwest Louisiana. You'll find them online, cadanwla.org. We've got more with Bill Rose, more to learn, and we'll talk more about addiction and recovery from addiction as Strategies for Living rolls on this evening. Stay with us. back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living here on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Marriage and family therapist David McMillan, PLPC Carla McCormick, staying out of too much trouble this evening.
Well, this is my my passion, and I
Yes,
never
it
really
is.
actually met Bill. I mean, I think I maybe met him a long time ago, just in passing. So,
You're
if
going to
you-
get
if
a,
you
you're,
do-
you're going to get a chance because we've Bill. I think you're booked every month to come back and join us. Here
I
on
am.
Strategies.
Susan Reeks is signed. She's turned my life over to David. So.
I love it.
And David
I
says
love it.
it's time. Susan says go over there and see David.
I love it.
Well, he's in. If you do anything in addiction in this town, you know Bill's name, and he is a legend in
Yes,
this
he
town.
is.
So
Yes, he is.
I
Well,
feel
thank you.
proud to be able to be here at the table tonight.
The CADA mission is to educate, to counsel, and to treat persons of all ages, anyone who suffers from alcoholism or other addictive diseases, and been doing it since 1958. So coming up on 60 years. Wow.
60 years in October.
And by the way, speaking of October, we're gonna talk about this in future shows, but just to set the stage, every year there's an annual dinner,
It is.
and this year's theme is 60 Years of Hope.
Right.
And there's a program every year. It's at the Shreveport Convention Center.
Right. We usually do a very nice dinner, your standard rubber chicken dinner. We have, of course, we have to take care of our board business. This is where we ratify the officers for the upcoming year.
Right.
But we also have a very well-known speaker. Some of the speakers we've had in the past couple of years. We had, what did we have last year? We had Tom Arnold last year. We had
The Tom Arnold.
The Tom Arnold was our speaker
Wow.
last year.
Wow.
We had Brian Cuban, which is the brother of Mark Cuban.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
an attorney out of Dallas. He spoke the year before that, and the year before him was Mackenzie Phillips.
I do remember that. The young lady that was in, let's see, she was Papa John from the Mamas and the Papas.
Mamas and Papas,
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah,
she was
and
on
she was
one day at
also
a
And
One
time.
day
she
at a
was on one
time.
day, and I
One
was
day at a
trying to
time.
remember. Thank you,
With
Bill.
Valerie Bertinelli.
Yeah, yeah. What
Sure was.
what a deal, and what a story that young lady.
Oh,
has.
very powerful story.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Susan is allowing me to tell you who the speaker is this year, so I may not be able to say.
Well, maybe
But
maybe by
more
next
will be revealed.
More will be revealed as the months go on. But you might go to again CADANWLA.org and you can go ahead and sign up for the annual dinner.
You can stalk our website and our Facebook page, and typically anytime we announce anything or put on events, it's always on Facebook and our website.
All right, and so I encourage you to do that. Encourage you to again the buy a brick. This is in honor of the 60th anniversary.
It is.
You can buy a brick in honor of Dan Talley.
And
You
right.
can buy a brick in honor of 30 years for Bill Rose. And I
right,
hope
or
you'll do
anyone that you may have, because I find that most people, and it's rare that I run into anyone that hasn't been affected directly or indirectly by addiction.
Yeah.
So if you want to buy one in honor of someone you may know that's gotten in recovery or didn't have that opportunity, you can do that as well.
The word that that comes to mind, Bill, as we talk about this is impact. CADA, this council, the Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse, and we should say this is it's a nonprofit. So
Right.
let's get out on the table. This is not a this is not funded by the state. Brought to you by the state. You may receive some funds here and there, grants and things like that, but this is a nonprofit organization.
This is a nonprofit corporation. We do have multiple funding sources. In fact, a little of our revenue actually comes from state contracts anymore, but
Right.
we do have.
But
state
those are contracts.
They're contracts, and they're primarily in place, and I thank God for them because they provide resources for the uninsured or underinsured that don't have resources to pay for treatment.
Right. And that's across 4 separate facilities that CADA maintains.
Right.
And so it costs money. I mean, each one of those facilities, from the office, the Dan Talley Center,
Right.
on Fairfield, and each one of the other centers, you got staff, you've got treatment to be provided.
We do. We have about 100 employees, 4 facilities, and about 14 programs that we operate.
It's got to be a never-ending challenge. Then, do you ever stop answering the phone?
I do not, and you can ask. You can ask my girl over here that we can't go out anywhere without someone calling me.
Yeah, yeah.
But of course that's what my job is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's got a lot of moving parts. One of the things that we try to do is to continue to identify gaps in services and whatever specific needs to treat those that need us here in Northwest Louisiana.
Are there opportunities for volunteers?
It
at
is.
CADA?
There's opportunities for volunteers that can also you can also access that online on our at our website. You can fill out a volunteer application. If you decide, hey, I think it would be pretty cool to have a job in social service, we do that as well.
Yeah.
So we have some that come in that want to work with our clients. We have some that say, hey, I want to come in and fix something, build something, provide some educational opportunity, or help to do some fundraising or other activities. We have volunteers that do a variety of things.
The CADA has a board of directors.
We do.
That people can get on the website. Dr. Getters, Dr. Nick Getters, who's been our life strategist, one of our life strategists here on Strategies for Living, is on the board.
He's on our board. In fact, he's one of our previous board presidents.
Mr. Art Carmody. A lot of people will know
Art's
Art.
been there for a number of years.
Sean Gregory.
Sean's does a lot of stuff with Celebrate Recovery.
Patty McBride Williams.
Patty's been around a long time.
What a great
Good
counselor,
therapist.
good therapist. So lots of dedicated folks. This year, the president is Norris McGowan.
He's on the board. He also sits on the board of directors for the Center of Recovery as well, or the LACG, Louisiana Association on Compulsive Gambling.
Wow, Lane Adger is your president-elect.
He is. Kit Gamble's the immediate past president. Charles McCollum, who's a local attorney, is the secretary of the board.
Mm-hmm.
And
James McClellan.
James McClellan is
treasurer.
the treasurer. He's a local CPA.
Right, and so very high-powered ratings, and Judge Charles Scott and Harvey Wilkening Jr. Of course, Judge Scott is deceased, but
Right.
they were special representatives to the
They
board.
are, and of course we have another gentleman that really has a lifetime honorary board membership is Pate Moore.
Yes.
Pate has been around in fact, he and Dan Talley were really, really good friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he was real instrumental in our success today.
So again, I know that there are many people in this community that understand already the wonderful work that CADA does, and we're just so happy that you're using this format, this forum, to help us get the word out for CADA, for the general public. So good stuff, Bill.
Well, thank you.
Good stuff.
I enjoyed being here and the opportunity to talk about what it is that we do. And anytime anyone needs our service, you can definitely locate us on Facebook, our website. You can call me. Everyone else does.
www.cadanwla.org. CADA, Northwest Louisiana.org. CADANWLA.org. We'll be back with the remaining moments today on Strategies with Mr. Bill Rose. Welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for a Living. Marriage and family therapist David McMillan, PLPC, Carla McCormick, our life strategist this evening, Mr. Bill Rose, the executive director of CADA, the Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse of Northwest Louisiana. You're smiling over there. I know you got something on your mind.
No, I just have enjoyed this so much. I mean, I want to go out and get a cup of coffee and still continue to pick his brain
There you
because
go.
there's so much wisdom in this room right now.
What a great staff, Bill. I mean, you've mentioned Kent Dean, who is your director of clinical development. You've got Ryan.
I have Ryan Pommier, who's primarily our
Operations
clinical
guy, right?
Well, I just recently changed his role to clinical compliance. We have Susan Reeks, who's our director of development.
Right, marketing development.
Right, she's the reason why I'm here.
Yeah, there you go.
We have
Brenda Whitfield, your clinical supervisor.
no, she's actually gone.
Oh, okay.
Kent Dean, in addition to the school, runs the outpatient clinic as well.
Ah, okay.
Now, Claire Madden is our new clinical supervisor of the Addiction Recovery Clinic. And have Donna Posey, who runs our human resource department and accounting. And Cecilia Woodley, of course, is our compliance coordinator.
Okay.
So she makes sure that we follow all of the rules.
Then you've got program directors. and
Program director is Shawnee Weeks. She's the director of the Bossier Treatment Center. And I have Shannon Grisham, who is the director of the adolescent program.
And then your veterans recovery
And
clinic.
Ken Alachele, we just call him Latch.
Yeah.
He runs our veterans program, but he also runs our racetrack program.
Really?
Lots of people don't know that we provide counseling on the backside of all of the tracks in Louisiana.
Wow.
It's an employee assistance program through the Racing Commission as well as the state of Louisiana.
CADA's involved in so much, and one of the things that we wanted to do today, you'll be back each month with us, and we'll focus on a particular area of addiction to kind of focus on. But what I wanted us to do this evening was kind of give an introduction and a broad-based understanding of the importance of CADA in our community. I don't know what other communities have, but as we talked at the beginning of this show, Dan Talley was such an instrumental, wonderful person. I feel the spirit of Dan Talley and Bill Rose.
Well, thank you.
And so thank you for doing what you do, Bill. Thank you for coming this evening.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right. Carla, you've done it again.
Oh, Bill did it.
Yeah, there you go.
It's because of Carla.
Every time, every time. Folks, thank you for tuning in to Strategies for Living. We've been brought to you by CADA, by Jerry Anderson State Farm, by Learning RX, by Highland Place Rehab and Nursing Center, by Jacob's Well, Inspirational Books and Gifts, and by Resilient House. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call that you could make, who would you call? And what would you say? And why are you waiting? Make the call. For Reuben Wright, for PLPC Carla McCormick, and for Bill Rose, I'm marriage and family therapist David McMillan. See you next time on Strategies for Living.